Techniques are strategies and hand signs that we use to teach and learn languages. Throwing a technique means making a hand gesture that is associated with a specific request or suggestion. And by using these hand signs, you're able to explain your wants and needs without breaking your language immersion. Your instructors and classmates can make specific adjustments based on what you're asking for without needing to interrupt the lesson. New techniques are being created every day, as not all language learners learn the same way. So enjoy some techniques that we use almost every day.
Two techniques I'm about to show are copycat. Copycat is when you want somebody to do as you do and say as you say. So I'll be like, copycat, stomp. And then you guys would be like, stomp. And then I'll be like, tight. And you guys would be like, tight. So it'd be like, stomp, tight. Copycat, stomp, tight. And then y'all would be like, stomp, tight. Technique, copycat. Technique, get your hand out like this and go sing along. So that's when I get you guys to say what I say exactly as I say it. Unlike copycat, whereas you're saying it after I say it, I want you to sing it with me. So you gotta sing along.
Hello, I'm Susanna, and I'm going to tell you about technique backwards build-up. Backwards build-up is a technique that we use to practice words that are long or maybe hard to say. And an example might be if you think you know a song and you're singing along and you start really strong at the beginning, but as you get a little further into the song, you realize, oh wait, actually, maybe I don't know all of the words to the song. Sometimes it helps when you're starting with something unfamiliar to start at the back and work towards the front instead of starting at the front and working towards the back. So for a long word or a word that's difficult to say, we start at the back and we work towards the front. I'm going to give you an example right now in English. So let's say you want to learn the word pronunciation in English. You would start at the end of the word and work back to the beginning. So if I were teaching you this word in English, I would get you to copycat me, which is to say after me each part. And we'd start with un, shun, ation, ciation, unciation, nunciation, ronunciation, pronunciation. And the key here is that you have to say the sound as it shows up in the word, even if this, like on its own, is the word on, but you don't say pronunciation, you say pronunciation. So you have to make the sound as it actually shows up in the word. We first learned about this technique from the Rossius method, which comes from Dartmouth University in the States, but it's a technique that's used a lot in English classrooms for learners of English as a second language, and it's a great way to practice a long word or a word that's hard to say. So if you're working with someone in the language and you want them to do a backwards build-up for you, all you have to do is ask for a backwards build-up.
So I'll be explaining the technique slow down and speed up. Use technique slow down when somebody's talking really, really fast and you want them to slow down a little bit, you throw the sign slow down. Technique, slow down. Technique, slow down. Now if somebody's talking slower or at a slower pace and you want them to speed up their talking a little bit, you ask them to speed up. Technique, speed up. Technique, speed up.
I'm going to be sharing with you two techniques of the day. These two techniques are named speak up, be quiet. When someone's speaking too loud, you want them to quiet down. If they're speaking too quiet, you want them to speak up. Haas.
This technique is technique, mumble. Technique, mumble. Technique, mumble. A good way to use technique mumble is if you are in a room of speakers and you want to let them know that you are unsure of what you're about to say is correct. Maybe the grammar, maybe your pronunciation is off, maybe you're just not confident, maybe it's just something you just learned. So you throw technique mumble and you let them know that maybe you want an accent adjustment. Or maybe you want to let them know like, hey, I'm going to mumble, you're my angel.
This is technique accent adjustment. When we're learning a new language, we tell people, mumble. Close enough is good enough for now, until I can get an accent adjustment. Well, it's time for an accent adjustment. Maybe you've been learning this language and you're mumbling along, you're trying your best, you're saying it as good as you can for right now, but really at some point there comes a time when you probably want a little help with your pronunciation. So maybe you have all the words in the correct order, maybe everything else is fine, but maybe you're just saying one of the words off. So if you were learning English, or a person's learning English, they might make a couple of classic mistakes, a couple of classic pronunciation errors, like trying to say the word gray, they might say clay. So if I hear somebody saying clay, I might say, let me help you out with that. I'm going to give you an accent adjustment. I'm going to signal to you that the thing I'm about to say is the correct way of saying it. Gray, gray, gray. Or a person might say the word orange. Oh, you're so close. Orange, orange, orange. And then I'll hear them say it. Now, when somebody says back the word that I'm saying, that I'm giving an accent correction on, I really like it if they also signal back that they are trying to signal to me that they're trying to do it right. So that way we both know that they tried, they were getting it close, but now it's time for both of us to help each other with an accent adjustment. Orange. And then they'll say back, orange. And I'll go, yeah, orange. Okay, that's technique, accent adjustment.
Today I'll be sharing with you 3 techniques. The first technique is technique again. You use this hand sign when you want to practice the language you just learned one more time. The second technique is technique 3 times. Sometimes 1 time isn't enough and you want to practice it 3 more. The last technique is technique finished. You use this hand sign when you're done practicing the language you just learned and you want to move on in the bucket.
Tinoyap. As a new learner of Squamish, one of the techniques that I use most frequently is technique, how fascinating. You can throw technique, how fascinating, anytime you or someone else makes a mistake or gets frustrated, or even when you learn something new and exciting about the language. Not only does it relieve stress, but it's a great way to remind yourself that mistakes are part of the learning process, and the more mistakes you make, how fascinating! The more mistakes you make, the closer you are to being fluent.